The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The journal of Monday, March 1st, 2021 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Janaris.
At this time, Mr. President, we're going to take up previously adopted Resolution 404 by Senator Thomas. Read that resolution's title only and recognize Senator Thomas.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 404 by Senator Thomas, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim March 1st through 7th, 2021 as Consumer Protection Week in the state of New York in conjunction with the observance of National Consumer Protection Week.
Senator Thomas on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today for National Consumer Protection Week. National Consumer Protection Week began in 1998 to help educate consumers about their credit and debit, how to stop telemarketing calls, how to safely shop online, and how to tell if you are being scammed or if your identity is being stolen. While much has changed since 1998, the great tradition of National Consumer Protection Week has continued and remains as vital as ever in our efforts to protect consumers across the nation. Every year in the beginning of March, consumer protection organizations come together to host educational events and provide instructional materials through publications, social media, and other websites. This week is an opportune time to highlight the efforts of the New York State Division of Consumer Protection, the Department of Financial Services, and the Office of the New York State Attorney General's Office for their ongoing dedication to assisting, educating, and empowering consumers across New York State. As chair of the Consumer Protection Committee, I am responsible for the welfare of New York's more than 19 million consumers, which is why I am a proud participant in the National Consumer Protection Week. This year, I have created a special online consumer protection resource page for my constituents with the goal of helping them identify and navigate the top consumer protection issues in New York State. This page is available on my Senate website and across my social media platforms. Education and awareness remain critical tools in protecting consumers from fraud and scams, which have evolved and changed in our increasingly digital world. It is my hope that we can use this week as an opportunity to educate ourselves as consumers and encourage others to study up on how to protect themselves and make the best choices in the marketplace. With that in mind, I am proud to introduce this resolution to proclaim March 1st through the 7th, 2021 as Consumer Protection Week in the state of New York. Thank you.
The resolution was previously adopted on March 2nd. Senator Janaris.
Senator Thomas would like to open that resolution for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor of the resolution, please notify the desk. Senator Janaris.
Please take up the calendar, Mr. President.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 145, Senate Print 238 by Senator Thomas, an act to amend the Social Services Law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 189, Senate Print 1566 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the Banking Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day of it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce. Yeah, I can switch right now.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 189, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borello, Gallivan, Griffo, Jordan, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 49, nays 14.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 215, Senate Print 2725 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the legislative law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 215, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Gallivan, Jordan, Oberacker, and Ort. Ayes 58, nays 5.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 256, Senate Print 3126A by Senator Parker, an act to amend the public service law and the energy law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 256, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borello, Gallivan, Griffo, Jordan, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, and Ritchie. Ayes 54, nays 9.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 278, Senate Print 1271 by Senator Brooks, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 279, Senate Print 1502 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the vehicle and traffic law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 120th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 292, Senate Print 3996 by Senator Reichlin Melnick, an act to amend the real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 332, Senate Print 841 by Senator Biaggi, an act to amend the environmental conservation law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect January 1st, 2023.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 332, voted in the negative, Senator O'Mara, ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 333, Senate Print 914 by Senator Benjamin, an act to amend the environmental conservation law and the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, J. Norris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Benjamin to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to rise today to talk about this bill that will set specific standards for lead in the environment, standards that should have been established a long time ago to protect the health and safety of our constituents. You know, this bill will mandate that the state set up safe standards for lead in the environment and create a framework so that compromised sites can be cleaned up. You know, this issue was raised in my community by my constituents in Park West Village, a very diverse community, an apartment complex where an empty lot between the complex and a school, PS 163, which serves students from pre-K to the fifth grade, were slated to see a new 20-story development occur on the parking lot. And when the residents, utilizing folks who wanted to help out, got a sense of what was happening underneath the ground, it turned out that there would be dangerous chemicals that would have come to the forefront if this project moved forward. And so there's been a continued fight to help stop this from happening. But the one thing that became clear is there is no lead standard in New York. And as a result, there was no way to stop it. And I wanted to make sure that we brought a bill to the floor, and I want to thank our majority leader for allowing this bill to come to the floor to begin the process of having standards so that we can make sure that our seniors, our children, our most precious gifts, that they are protected from lead. You know, in communities of color, lead is the communities of color have some of the highest rates of lead. There's a study by NYPIRG that shows that 94% of lead poisoning in New York City was found in children of color, with 47% of court cases regarding lead poisoning coming from the Bronx, the poorest county in New York State, despite the borough only making up 17% of the city's population. So this is not just an environmental issue, it's also a racial justice issue. And I want to thank the leader for bringing this to the floor, and I proudly vote aye on this bill. Thank you.
Senator Benjamin to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 333, voted in the negative, Senator Ort, ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 334, Senate Print 1031B by Senator Stuart Cousins, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 8, this act shall take effect on the 30th day of it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stuart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 337, Senate Print 3211A by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stuart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 338, Senate Print 3321 by Senator Kaminsky, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stuart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 340, Senate Print 4371B by Senator Biaggi, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
The bill be laid aside for the day.
Calendar number 341, Senate Print 4378A by Senator Brisport, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
Lay it aside.
Calendar number 406, Senate Print 523 by Senator Hoyleman, an act to amend the Civil Practice Law and Rules.
Read the last section.
Section 10, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stuart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 426, Senate Print 3887 by Senator Bailey, an act to amend the Highway Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stuart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Let's move on to the controversial calendar.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 145, Senate Print 238 by Senator Thomas, an act to amend the Social Services Law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
And I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Palumbo to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Mr. President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that you recognize Senator Palumbo.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Palumbo may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. With respect to this amendment that's before the desk today and the germaneness of it, the underlying bill in chief has to do with, obviously, nurses, frontline workers, having them get paid their normal rate when they're taking care of a family member. And I absolutely encourage it. I support this bill wholeheartedly. Those folks have been really dealing with some difficult times over this past year. And this amendment that I'm bringing before this House again now is the 19th time my conference has done so. And when we think about what the purposes of this is obviously we've had a long and grueling pandemic process that we've dealt with now for a year, and the governor has had unilateral control. And we did this, and we heard...
Senator Gianaris.
Sorry, Senator Palumbo, but we do have a very strict rule in chamber about wearing masks while people are speaking, so I would ask Senator Palumbo to please.
Oh, certainly, Senator Gianaris, I apologize. I figured with the social distancing I was able to remove my mask, but certainly, I apologize for that. So we brought this 19 times, and the House has struck it down every time, and here we are again. And we had a failure to act on each one of those occasions. We find out on February 7th there was a secret phone call, that there was specific information that's been requested for months that was intentionally concealed. We failed to act. We had the governor dealing with other unrelated matters, but sexual harassment matters. One complaint, we failed to act. Another complaint, we failed to act. And then within the past 24 hours, I see, with much fanfare, that we've reached an agreement to terminate the governor's powers. And I breathed a sigh of relief to an extent. I said, the horse has been long out of the barn, but I'm so glad that now the two majorities, in the Democrats in the Senate, the Democrats in the Assembly, have finally come to their senses. And then I got a copy of the bill this morning. So I take a look at S5357, and as I read through it and started to digest the bill, I saw that there's actually a typo in the first line, in the title. An act to amend the executive law in relation to the termination of certain executive powers. In fact, my friends, that's supposed to read extension of those powers. The current situation we're in has the governor's powers by sunset provision on April 30th ending, and we're out of this, and it's done. I have heard from hundreds and hundreds of constituents, restaurant owners, when is this going to end? And where they all said, well, at the very least, we have a sunset provision for April 30th. Thank goodness. And then I hear, we're taking this up on Friday, in 2 days. If this is so important, why don't we have a message of necessity before us? And why that might even be possible is I hear at the governor's press conference today, it was an agreement that he was included in this discussion with no sunset. And let me direct you to some areas of this bill that are making matters worse. This helps nothing, because now the governor, page 2, line 24A, the governor may extend or modify any directive by executive order that has been issued and remains in effect, on the effective date of this act for additional 30-day increments in a manner provided for in this section. The section provides that the legislature and committee chairs get information on why he's doing it, as long as it's relative to a public health crisis, which is what we're in, and they can comment. Quite frankly, I've said this previously outside of this chamber. Well, the good news is I'm a state senator and I'm an American. I've been commenting for almost a year. We can all comment as much as we like. And you know what happens when the governor gets those comments? He has to take them under advisement. Mr. President, I don't even know what that means. It does not invalidate any of his directives. And it also provides, well, the legislature can revoke those powers by joint resolution. We have that power right now. By joint resolution or other acts of this body and the assembly together, we can pull his powers. And that's what we've been asking for. And that's what this amendment does. So the other provisions, there's another one that allows us to terminate the executive orders again, if we choose to do so as a legislature. That's already in Executive Law 29A. That exists. This is a wonderful press release, and it's disingenuous. This legislation that we're going to be taking up in 2 days does nothing. So now, everyone's going to go back to their district, and I think some people who were for it are going to say, thank goodness we revoked his powers. We terminated his powers. What we just did, with no sunset provision, allows the governor to issue executive orders, just like he can today, every 30 days after or at some point giving the ability to comment on a public website by the legislative chairs in the legislature. I was breathless when I read this. This is terrible, what you're planning on doing in 2 days in the majority. So this is something that has obviously been lauded by the governor today, by media outlets. They're terminating his powers finally. But on Saturday, if this bill gets through this House and the Assembly, and a restaurant owner calls me and says, so great, what's different?
Senator Jannars.
Senator Palumbo again. We're going to have ample time to debate the bill he's talking about on Friday when we bring it up in this House. I would ask him to please keep his comments to the hostile amendment that's before us right now. Thank you.
Understood, Senator. And at the end of the day, these reasons, these underlying reasons are why this amendment is so critical. Because it would seem, and the reason why I would suggest, Mr. President, that these comments are germane and relative to this bill is because, yes, there is a new joint resolution and bill in the system for Friday that would seem to do what we're asking for today, but it doesn't under any circumstances. I ask that the ruling of the chair be overruled, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Palumbo. I want to remind the House of the voters on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
We have agreed to waive the showing of hands and record the entire minority in the affirmative. Mr.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Thomas to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today on behalf of Christine Shepa, a mother, nurse, fighter, and one of the strongest people I know. Chris is the driving force behind this critical legislation, and I want to share her story with you today. In May of 2016, Chris received a call that changed her life forever. Her son, Vincent, a recent graduate of Garden City High School, was in a skateboarding accident and left with permanent catastrophic injuries. Since that day, Chris, who is a registered ER nurse, has been fighting for the right to stay in her home and take care of her son full-time. Her fight has been anything but easy. Current state law does not allow a mother to earn a nurse's salary while taking care of a son or daughter. Chris spent 48 grueling hours a week working 3 separate nursing jobs, taking care of strangers just so that she could make enough to care for Vinny. Meanwhile, over 15 nurses cycled in and out of the Shepa home, many of them unable to provide the same level of care that Chris could provide for our own son. This is a painful story, and is a story that's common among caregivers in New York State. It needs to change. That is why I am honored to sponsor this legislation named for my constituent, Vincent Shepa, who passed away just a couple of weeks ago on February 17th, 2021. No mother, no family should have to endure the emotional and physical hardship of being unable to care for their loved ones when they are perfectly qualified to provide full-time care. My greatest hope is that this bill can serve as a testament to Vinny's memory by giving caregivers more precious hours with their loved ones. I want to thank Chris Shepa for her tireless advocacy and all the caregivers across our state for the crucial and often unappreciated work they do. I vote in the affirmative. Thank you.
Senator Thomas to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 341, Senate Print 4378A by Senator Bridgeport, an act to amend the environmental conservation law.
Senator Borrello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor yield for some questions?
Does the sponsor yield?
Through you, Mr. President, I do.
Sponsor yields.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, Senator Bridgeport. So I understand the intent of this bill, and I certainly appreciate that. But there are some issues here that I think are troubling as far as the reliability. So the New York Independent System Operators came out last year saying that the New York City electrical grid will have reliability concerns as soon as 2023 due to existing DEC peak emission reduction rules. So with that in mind, does this legislation require any type of a study to be conducted in order to, a reliability study for the grid as part of removing these peaker facilities?
Through you, Mr. President, that study did not take into account future generation, and we are expecting a lot more generation through renewable energy to come online in accordance with the CLCPA in the coming years.
Will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Through you, Mr. President, yes.
Sponsor
No,
yields.
Thank you. I know my question is there a study that's going to be done? Because it sounds like what DEC has done, they have a rule, but they have some flexibility. You're now, by codifying this in legislation, you are now requiring that this happens, even if DEC determines that it could threaten the reliability of our electrical grid in New York and deny power to millions of New Yorkers, they still will have to follow this legislation. So will a study be done to ensure that we don't have a reliability issue and don't have a problem with our grid?
Through you, Mr. President, NYSERDA is required to do a study, and they will do so in accordance with this bill.
Okay, thank you. Will the sponsor continue to yield, Mr.
Does
President?
the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So, do you have any concerns for the future of the reliability for power for New York City at this point? I mean, right now you've got power that's derived from lots of places, but you know, upstate Long Island. But do you have any concerns of the future reliability? Do you have confidence that with this bill passing, we won't have any reliability issues, and that we will not jeopardize power supply, especially in extreme weather events, for the people of New York?
Through you, Mr. President, this bill requires them to submit a feasibility and a plan to convert to 100% renewable energy and battery storage to ensure that that plan, and the department has to agree that that plan is one that will not jeopardize the local community in terms of its reliability. I would also add that these peakers tend not to be used for more than 15% of the time during the year.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Sponsor yield.
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So the sponsor said that it requires that we go to 100% renewables. Senator, are you aware that we already import about 25% of our power from other places, including old-fashioned coal plants in places like Homer City, Pennsylvania, which are just spewing pollution into the air? So does this bill then require that we no longer import any power from anywhere else, that we rely 100% on renewable power in New York State? We will not import any more power ever again when this bill passes.
Through you, Mr. President, we are in the middle of a construction of a lot new renewable energy in New York State, and this bill takes into account the amount that will be constructed in New York State.
Sponsor continue to yield.
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
With all due
Sponsor
respect,
yields.
you didn't answer my question, sir. Are we going to no longer import power from other states when this bill is, which is what this bill calls for?
Through you, Mr. President, our goal is to move to 100% renewable energy no matter where it comes from.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So again, we still haven't gotten an answer to the question if we're still going to be importing power like we are right now. Where I am in Western New York, we shut down a power plant, cost lots of jobs. The governor came to town, said we were going to renew, we're going to repower this plant with natural gas, clean burning natural gas, and then he pulled the plug on it. Instead, we spent hundreds of millions of dollars to run transmission lines to places like Homer City, Pennsylvania, which are just old-fashioned, outdated coal plants. And now 25% of Western New York's power comes from that. So again, I'm asking you, are we going to stop importing power from other states?
President, this is what the CLCPA is about. It mandates that we stop importing dirty energy and move to completely 100% renewable energy.
Sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Okay. With all due respect, that's not what it says. The CLCPA actually says that we'll no longer generate power here in New York State. It doesn't preclude us from importing that power. I don't see that as the case, because if that were the case, why are we now spending lots of millions and millions of dollars to run transmission lines right now? So you're saying the CLCPA says that by 2030, we'll have 70% renewable power, even here, even the power that's coming from other states, other areas, other countries like Canada, for example. So we're seriously not going to be importing any more power from coal plants?
Through you, Mr. President, the CLCPA says to move to a carbon-free electrical grid, 70% by 2030, 100% by 2040. It would be impossible to be importing energy from coal plants or any other fossil fuel and be in accordance with those stipulations.
Okay. Mr. President, will sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. Thank you very much for indulging me also. Appreciate that. How many acres of solar farms, how many acres of onshore and offshore wind turbines will be required in order to meet that? Do we have any idea? Do we have enough land in New York State to supply that much renewable energy? Do we have any idea?
Mr. President, respectfully, these are now questions about the CLCPA, not the conversion of peaker plants specifically to 100% renewable energy.
Does the sponsor yield?
Okay, let me rephrase that
Hold on,
question then.
Let the sponsor yield.
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry. I'm
sponsor
getting ahead of
yields.
myself. So, specifically speaking to the loss of power that these peaker plants being closed will now, we'll no longer have that peaker plant. How many acres of solar farms and how many wind turbines will we need in New York State in order to make up for that? For the loss of those peaker plants, excuse me.
Mr. President, this is not a bill to shut down peaker plants or to close peaker plants. It's a bill to require them to switch over to 100% renewable energy. They can get a 5-year extension, and if they are unable to do so, then they may close, but we expect most of them to be able to do this. This is existing technology. In fact, in Ulster County in 2019, a peaker plant was replaced with 20 megawatts of battery storage.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yep.
The sponsor yields.
So, battery storage is a little different dynamic than supplying peak power because, obviously that happens during extreme events, heat, cold. In fact, I think one of the questions that I have here is if you're going to, you talked about this 5-year extension. So, but it says that if there's any determination, essentially I think your legislative lines leads, peaker plants emission contribute to adverse health effects in environmental justice communities. And then lines 20 through 29 on page 4 state the DEC may only grant an application for an extension if the continued operation of the peaker plant would not result in adverse health impacts. So a few lines further, you say they clearly do that. Then you're saying the only way that you could get an extension, that 5-year extension, is if they don't do that. So effectively, aren't you saying that nobody's going to be able to get that extension?
Through you, Mr. President, we are not making a blanket statement about peaker plants. This would be a case-by-case evaluation through the department, through the DEC.
Thank you very much, Senator. On the bill?
Senator Borrello on the bill.
I understand that these peaker plants are something that in many communities are often considered to be obviously causing pollution. I understand that. But what we're doing in New York State now is instead of doing a slow roll, a responsible, thoughtful conversion, using, for example, natural gas as a bridge fuel to repower these plants using existing natural gas resources that we have an abundance of in New York State. Instead, we're going to this knee-jerk reaction where we're going to shut things down. And all of a sudden, we're saying that we're not going to have these peaker plants. Well, if you look at what happened in Texas, and we can debate why or how, but the reality is people lost power for an extended period of time. People died as a result of the unreliable nature of their power in New York. Now we're going to bring that idea to New York State by getting rid of these peaker plants. Now we're saying it's because we want to protect people's health, and I understand that. But right now, New York State is ramping up its importing of power from dirty, old-fashioned, outdated plants in places like Homer City, PA. We used to be energy independent. We were going to be powered with natural gas at the plant in Dunkirk, where I live, dramatically reducing those greenhouse gas emissions, dramatically reducing the carbon footprint. Instead, we're bringing power in from the dirtiest plants in North America. It's a lie. It's a shell game. We're saying we're converting to renewable power. We're not. I can tell my wife that I'm eating salads and I'm on a diet, but if I got a drawer full of candy bars in my desk and that's what I'm eating when I go to work, I'm not going to be losing any weight. And that's what New York is doing. We're not reducing our commitment. We're not reducing our reliance on fossil fuel. Quite the opposite. We're saying we're going to take as much as we need from wherever we have to, and then we're going to put up a bunch of wind turbines and solar panels and tell people we're renewable. We're saving the environment. It's a lie. And unfortunately, getting rid of these peaker plants now changes that lie into a dangerous lie. A dangerous lie that ultimately is going to result in an unreliable source of power for New York State. I get where we're going here. And I think we can get there. But we don't have to get there by cutting ourselves off at the knees. That's what this is going to do. And there are many other pieces of legislation that I'm sure we're going to see that we're all going to be going out of our way to congratulate ourselves. But here's the reality. We aren't doing a single thing that is going to reduce the amount of carbon output and pollution 1 iota if we continue down this path. We're going to continue to import power. We have to reduce our demand, folks. That's what it's all about. That's not happening. So this is just another part of the shell game, and I'll be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section. Read the last section.
Section 3, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Skoufis to explain his vote.
Thanks very much, Mr. President. I certainly appreciate the intent behind this bill, and I join my colleague and many colleagues in wanting to accelerate the transition away from dirty fossil fuel plants, including peaker plants. I will say just a broad exception that I take is that we very deliberately over many years addressed this very issue and others in the CLCPA in 2019. And so it is a little strange to me that we are taking this one particular piece out of the CLCPA and doing something differently with it. But my fundamental concern here is that this bill, in my opinion, has been fast-tracked in such a way that we have not fully or even duly considered the financial impact associated with this bill in those communities that host peaker plants. And so I host 2 in my Senate district, in North Rockland and in the town of Newburgh. Each contributes $2 to $3 million annually to the local school districts and local municipalities. And yes, there is a mitigation fund set up. It is inadequate, but the simple matter of fact is this bill is brand new, basically, has been fast-tracked, and will have a deleterious financial impact on 2 sets of communities in my Senate district. I do hope that before this bill moves completely through the legislature, that we can have a more comprehensive and robust conversation about that financial impact that needs to be addressed. We all want to do away with the pollution, but we also don't want to lay off hundreds of teachers in the process of taking out of these communities an enormous, if not the largest, rateable taxpayer in these school districts and municipalities. And so for those reasons, regretfully, I'll have to vote no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Skoufis to be recorded in the negative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 341, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Gallivan, Gorin, Griffo, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Skoufis, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 42, nays 21.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There's no further business at the desk.
Then I move to adjourn until tomorrow, Thursday, March 4th. Members should pay attention because we have moved the time to 3 p.m. tomorrow.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Thursday, March 4th at 3 p.m.